ladies and gentlemen. We are back. It's the Heat Lifers podcast with your boy CL Anthony and my main man Kevin Carter. What's going on, Kevin?
Nothing. I just woke up.
Okay. Hey, so the Miami Heat made a plethora of moves this week. Break it down
Some,
for me. Look,
yeah. Some moves they made may be illegal. You don't know yet.
I saw a text that was a meme of a Kyle Lowry showing his phone to the camera, and it said 601. Hey, it's Pat Riley. It was hilarious.
Uh,
Yeah.
like you know that these guys have talked already. We already know that teams that these guys want to go to, and then everybody is shocked and thinks they're tampering because they went to these teams. What Kyle Lowry? It's been rumored for Kyle Lowry to go to the Heat for like 4 years. So
Yeah.
why is anybody shocked that it actually happened? That we know they've been talking. We know all this stuff goes on. It's like the NFL. You should just have that legal tampering period, like 3 days prior to free agency, and then when free agency hits, boom, you're not surprised by anything.
Yeah. No, it wasn't tampering. The framework of this deal was set at the All-Star break when, I believe Toronto declined the trade at that point. So the framework of the deal was already set there. So they just revisited it and re-signed Goran the night before. I think that was the trigger when they re-signed Goran the night before to the $19 million. That was the trigger for the investigation. But no, it's not tampering at all. I was a little upset because the Raptors had their choice of Precious or Tyler, and they chose Precious. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, I can't get this kid off my fucking team. Um, I can't. But my boy Duncan Robinson signed a $90 million contract. What are your
I
thoughts?
saw that, and then I saw that and went, "Damn, I can't get this motherfucker off my team."
We know your love for Duncan Robinson. We know it.
Now we get to look forward for friggin' foul calls and him getting 4 fouls in the matter of 3 minutes now. Uh, what is he going to get? Like $1 million a foul for like the first 50 games of the season? Because that's what it's going to end up happening. He's going to hit 90 fouls already in his first year within 50 games, and we're going to be like, "Ah, he got his money's worth."
Well, yeah,
That's,
he's definitely gonna have to improve on the defensive end, but I
no, no,
look
no.
at it.
He's actually just going to have to play some because you can't improve on something that you don't have already. You only can improve if you actually do something. If you don't do it, that means you have to get it finally. So he's not going to improve on the defensive end. He just needs to find something on the defensive end because he has absolutely nothing on that side of the ball. And the bad part is every team we play in the East now is good guard oriented. So
Yeah,
they're going
yeah.
to pick and roll the crap out of him, get him involved in these terrible situations, and they're going to go right at him. Oh, it's so. Oh God, I didn't need a headache this early in the morning. Now I'm
Oh
already
yeah,
developed.
oh yeah. We're rolling today. Quick question. All right, so how do you feel about the addition of PJ Tucker? Because that was the surprise for
I liked it because you signed the guy that doesn't play any defense than $90 million, but you bring in a guy that actually plays some type of defense. Even though he's going to see, I don't mind him getting the fouls because he's actually doing his job
me.
in getting fouls. Duncan just gets fouls just for no apparent reason. PJ at least gets in somebody's face and bitches about it afterwards, but at least he's playing some type of defense.
Right, right, right. And
If if you could have combined the two somehow, then I really would have been happy.
he
But
might Duncan might be able to learn a little bit from PJ, and PJ can at times knock down an open shot. So I like the move. Another surprise is Markeith Morris. I didn't see that coming at all.
they had to find defense somewhere. They had so they went out and got two guys that are physical and mean and play defense. I'm like, well, there you go. That's exactly what we need. Too bad our starting lineup's not only going to play some with two guys, but hey, that's exactly what we need. I think PJ's going to start now, probably.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm like, well, there you go. What made me mad was you get rid of you let Kendrick Nunn just walk out the door and get Duncan Robinson $90 million.
Yeah.
You give the better of the two player, or you give the better of the two players the walk out the door, and you keep the one guy and give him $90 million. Oh, Jesus Christ!
I think we're gonna have a theme for these next few minutes with Kevin railing on Tucker Robinson.
No, it's just okay. You give Jimmy Butler this gigantic big extension. Okay, Jimmy's still good, but guess what? Jimmy's old. You're trying to bring in Kyle Lowry. Um, Newsflash, he's old.
Yeah.
Um, you gave Bam the money last year. Bam's not old yet. Um, you bring in PJ Tucker. There's a theme I'm going here. He's old. Um, you bring in Morris. Guess what? He's old too. What are you doing to develop the future? Luckily, we're good at bringing guys in that nobody's ever heard of, putting them in the summer league, and them actually doing really good, and we can sign them to contracts. We've done that a few times with people, so hopefully they find some youth there. But right now, we are old as dirt. The only team that's older than us is the Los Angeles uh, retirement home.
Yeah. Those guys.
They're the only people older than us.
Yeah.
Their
They-
combined age is infinity. Them signing Kendrick Nunn brought their average age down to 73 a person.
yeah. They're gonna need a lot of icy hot, a lot of ice packs and ice baths. That's what the Lakers are gonna need.
They're
No,
gonna
I.
need they're gonna need a lot of prune juice, a lot of, a lot of milk of magnesia,
Mhm.
a lot of Ensure. That's gonna be the new tag on their sponsor for the Lakers. It's gonna be like Ensure
They're gonna have them on their jerseys.
or like AARP. Yeah, they're gonna have them on their jersey.
I actually like the moves that the Miami Heat made. I actually enjoyed all of them.
Of course,
See,
you're a Pat Riley guy.
I am. I'm a huge Pat Riley mark. Absolutely.
Your dog is named Riley, for God's sake. We know.
Look,
I just find it crazy that in today's NBA we're doing the complete opposite of what
it,
other
yeah,
teams are doing.
he's
And I
building an old school team. Yeah,
yeah, but it frustrates me because you need somebody to shoot the ball besides one white guy who, if he's not playing, if he's fouling people, he's already out of the game within the first 3 minutes. He does no good on the pitch. Availability is better than talent.
no,
And
that's a good point.
if you're not available, then you're screwed. So you just gave the one guy we got that shoots, but he's out of the game within the first 3 minutes. It's just it befuddles me. Yeah, I used befuddled this morning. It, it just befuddles me that the way the NBA is going, you want to go in the complete opposite direction. Well, we already found out teams that go in the opposite direction of how the NBA is going right now have been failing. So you have to do something. I think by midseason they try to find another shooter. The
Well,
thing I like is Victor was like, yeah, I'm going to stay.
oh yeah,
And if Oladipo gets healthy and he's a smidgen of the guy he used to be, then I'm happy. I'm very happy with that. But Victor's
hmm
been trying to get to Miami for 14 years,
right,
so it
right,
seems
right.
like so that I'm glad he was just like, I'm staying, going to see if I can get healthy, and with all them old people already on the team and everything, the training staff's going to have a hard time keeping everybody healthy. But
Oh
they
yeah.
did have done, but they have done a good job in the past of getting guys back to where they need to be. So So hopefully he gets right back up there, and then Victor can at least give us something later on in the season.
Yeah, the good thing about Victor is there's no pressure on him to come back right now. The team
Yeah,
we have is the team we have, so he would be a super bonus if he can, like you said, even a fraction of himself, and he come back and be healthy. That'd be a huge bonus for us going forward. So let's talk about Tyler Hero because to me, he's that other shooter that we could use if he's focused. How big of a season do you think Tyler Hero needs to have, considering the pieces that we brought
he needs to get over the
in?
this the sophomore slump.
Mhm.
That's just his biggest thing. He's going to have to get over this, and coming up and probably coming off the bench with Morris and maybe PJ Tucker if he doesn't start and everything is going to be good for him because he's going to be coming in with the guys that aren't necessarily the scorers and the guys who need the ball in their hands. Because usually when Tyler came into the game, he was in there. He was in there with guys that are going to have the ball in their hands and are going to be able to shoot with the likes of Nunn and all of that. So now with him coming into the game, he's going to be coming into the game where he's probably going to be one of the main focus because he'll either come in and Bam will stay in, or when he comes in, Jimmy will still be there. So Tyler will be able to get the ball in his hands more frequently than he did in the past. He just got to get over that mental block that he had during his sophomore season.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's some good analysis there. I totally agree with you on that. And we had actually another signing, one that I really, really, really like, which I like them all, but of course,
Of
we
course you
brought
do.
we brought back Deadman. So how
Yes,
you feel?
I like
How you?
that too. I like that one too. But
Okay.
he already looks like he's 97 years old, so he fits with he, when he's coming in. But I like the Deadman to spill. He said it best himself. He said, "My job is to spill Bam and tell him to take a rest, young fella."
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's exactly what you need. But we just need more of that type of player. And I think you got it with when you sign Tucker and Morris. You got
Mhm.
more of that type of player who's going to go in, be physical, and bang with some of these other teams. It's just my worry, just like it was last year. Who the hell is guarding the guards? Because right
Yeah.
now we're playing a bunch of guard oriented teams and we still don't have nobody that's going to be able to guard these guards.
Lowry can give us a little, just a little. If he can stay in shape, he can give us a little bit defensively. Um, and then of course
But
Jimmy can. I'm
but
sorry.
you
What's
ain't
that?
keep but you ain't keeping up with Trey Young. And you ain't keeping up with the Drew Holidays and the Trey Youngs and the Middletons and we just saw what they did to you. So you got to. Oh man, it's tough. I'm just well, they're already defending Lowry pretty good. The NBA is, so we don't know if he's going to be able to defend on our team or not. So
No, he'll be there. They're just, if anything, they'll hit us with like a huge fine and strip some more draft picks. But the good
what
thing
are they?
about that is we don't have draft
What
picks, so
exactly? What are they going to do? Take draft picks we don't have in 2028 and 29 or 30?
yeah, I'm not worried about that investigation in the least.
Look, look, we're taking one of your draft picks. They're like, which one? We don't
Yeah,
have anything.
we don't
They're
have
like,
any.
we don't have any until LeBron's kid's kid becomes available to
What?
be in the NBA.
Would that be LeBron James the third at that point?
Yeah, his grandkid will be. They'll already have made four more Space Jams that suck.
Oh
Uh,
God.
yeah.
So
But
here's
look,
another question.
well, Space Jam 6, and they all sucked since the first one. So
Here's another question. So this is something that I thought was interesting, and when me and Bryce spoke early in the week, I mentioned it to him. I think all of these moves were direct shots at Milwaukee, and it was so interesting that we even tried to get Bobby Portis Jr. and he told us no. But the way this team is matched up, I think they can match up against Milwaukee pretty well. What do you think about? Do you see it as a shot at Milwaukee?
They don't need, here's the thing. If it's a shot at Milwaukee, they still don't need to be taking a shot at Milwaukee. Milwaukee's not even going to Milwaukee got lucky last year. Milwaukee got lucky that Kevin Durant's foot size is 2 inches too big and that Kyrie Irving went down. You can take all the shots at Milwaukee you want to. Milwaukee's not the best team in the East. The Nets are the best team in the East. You need to be making all the moves to compete with the Nets. Looking at Milwaukee as your main competition just because they won the championship by luck isn't the moves that you should be making. If they were focused on just taking shots at Milwaukee, then they focused on the wrong things.
Well,
And
how do
I'm
you
like,
think?
because the Nets are the best team in the league, or in the best, probably the best team in the league if those guys are healthy. That thing
Mm,
is keeping all three of them healthy. But literally, they were Kevin Durant having a size what not ski to the size ski from going to the finals.
right.
One, so I'm like, dude, y'all are. I was like, you can take all the shots at Milwaukee you want to. Milwaukee's not your biggest threat right now. It's going to be the Nets.
How do you see Miami matching up against the Nets with with the roster as is? Because the Nets really didn't add pieces. They lost one piece. I mean, they got Patty Mills, but yeah. How do you think Milwaukee? Excuse me. How do you think Miami matches up against the Nets right now?
Well, the bad part is Patty Mills is a heat killer. We saw we saw Patty Mills kill him. Patty Mills is like freaking Vucevic was in freaking or Ross is in
Oh yeah.
he's a kid. He kills the Heat for some odd reason. These guys are like, oh, and then light it up. So they don't match up well at all with the Nets. Well, nobody does. Because again, nobody can guard Kyrie, and nobody's going to be able to guard James Harden. Luckily,
Hmm.
James Harden doesn't play a lick of defense, so you can
Right.
go at him. And luckily, Kyrie is so you can go at him. But on the defensive end of the floor, you can't go at neither one of them because we don't have nobody to do it.
Hmm.
Lowry might be able to put his big butt on somebody, but it's still he don't. You can't go at these guys. And who's guarding Kevin Durant? The answer
Yeah.
is no one in the world. As we saw during the Olympics, nobody in the world can guard Kevin Durant.
Right. Right.
Let's on one team. Nobody in the world can guard him. So they do not they match up way better with Milwaukee because Milwaukee for all the shooters they have when they struggle you can beat the crap out of them. The bad
Oh
part
yeah.
is the Nets never struggle. If all three of the guys are healthy, the Nets aren't going to struggle because one of them is going to be making shit.
Well, I actually think, even though my savior is out west, I actually think the Lakers are the best team in the NBA right now. From one through
No,
fifth, from 1 through 15, I think they're built better.
they were the best team in 2000. What 9, 10? If we go back in time, they're the
Mhm.
best team in the league in 2010. They're not the best team right now. Carmelo Anthony is a shell of himself. Carmelo Anthony, all he does is they do what I do at the park. Go stand over there and shoot. We'll throw you the ball. You just stand way over there and shoot. And he's the only one that can shoot.
Mhm.
Anthony Davis hasn't proven he can stay healthy. Anthony Davis is one of the best players in the league if he stays healthy. He can't stay healthy. LeBron's a breakdown away from being everybody. Dwight Howard, not even talking about him. Uh, all the guys that they've signed, it's just you're not the best team if you're 97 years old and your guys can't stay healthy. People are going to be walking to that bench in walkers and stuff come later on in the year. They're definitely not the best team in the NBA. The Nets still are because the Nets big three over trumps anybody else that's playing. I still think
Ste-
the Sun. I still think the Suns in the West are better than the Lakers because the
I,
Suns if the Suns start running, their Lakers aren't going to be able to keep up with them. And the Suns are deeper because the Suns
they're a
really didn't
little
lose it.
deeper. They're a
Yeah,
little
the Suns
deeper. I think the Lakers could run with the Suns if you just sit LeBron, give Westbrook the ball, and surround him by shooters. I think they have a shot. I
See, that's
still
why. But see, that's why you think that the Lakers are better than everybody. Is because you're a fan of Westbrook. You think with your fandom instead of looking at the team, going, okay, well, what are you going to do here, 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 and here? Because the Suns will still run them to death. But because besides Westbrook, none of the rest of the people can keep up because they are old.
look. If I'm the Lakers, Brooklyn doesn't scare. If I'm the Lakers, and this is from a pure basketball standpoint, because you made a good point. The Suns will scare me more than Brooklyn. I'm not sold on Brooklyn. I've never been sold on Brooklyn. Three guys aren't going to be the team. They have absolutely no bench. Even though the Lakers have an older squad, they do have a adequate bench. Phoenix, as you said, are deep as well.
Yeah, they'll
Brooklyn,
run.
I don't believe. I've never believed in the Nets. I'm just being honest from a pure basketball standpoint. Those three
CL,
guys, yes,
they were an inch away from the NBA champions without the key piece in Kyrie Irving and a gimpy James Harden. They were an inch.
they didn't get
Eight.
it done.
No,
They didn't.
because his foot was an inch too damn long.
They didn't get it done.
A
So okay,
specific inch. But saying that they can't do anything or they're going to have problems next year, that's a false narrative because if any one of those other guys is completely healthy, they beat the living dog crap out of Milwaukee.
look,
Because
this is.
Milwaukee can't guard anybody. The
Let me
Nets
tell
and
you.
the Nets and Suns finals would have been more fun to watch than the Bucks one. The Bucks would
Yeah,
get on the streak, and then little Shaquille, they finally figured out how to use Giannis and told him to stop shooting 3 pointers, and they turned him into little mini Shaquille O'Neal. They were able to wear him out because Aiton is too slow to keep up with Giannis.
he didn't have any foot speed. Yeah,
He can't keep up with Giannis.
yeah,
Giannis legit lives up to his freaking his mantra. He is a freak.
yeah. Monty
But man,
Williams definitely lost that series for Phoenix because he didn't adjust to that.
yeah, but
The- the-
saying the Nets were, no, they literally
so
were they literally were a big toe away from
my
going to the finals with gimpy guys.
my analysis of the Nets all year was if they can stay healthy and become cohesive, then they may be a problem. They didn't do it. So let me ask you
You
this question.
you don't need to go cohesive when Kevin Durant's dropping 50.
Let me ask you this question. And Kevin Durant did play great in the playoffs and in the Olympics. So here's the question. If the Nets don't win the championship this year, now we know Kevin just signed, he just agreed to his extension. If they don't win the championship this year, what changes do the Nets make going forward in the offseason?
James Harden's gone.
You think so? Okay, because one of them have to be gone. So you think it's
James
hard?
Harden James Harden's going somewhere else because it's just like I told Cortez when it happened in the playoffs. I
Mm,
was like, when Kyrie went down, I said, "Oh, they're screwed."
mm,
I said because the one guy you couldn't afford to lose. Well, the one guy was Kevin Durant. You couldn't afford to lose Durant at all. But the second guy you couldn't afford to lose was Kyrie. I'd rather you could have lose James Harden and still been fine. But losing when as soon as they lose Kyrie, I was like, oh, they're done for. I was like, if Harden comes back, Harden has to come back full blow for them to get that type of punch. And then when he came back all gimpy, I was like, yeah, they're done. I was like, because
yeah,
I was like, they can. I was like, Kevin Durant can only do so much, which the so much that he did almost won them and put them
mm,
into the finals. But James Harden is the one guy that you can do without and bring in a different piece.
got it,
James Harden,
got it.
for all the stuff he does well, he doesn't fit that bill as the guy that you need to be able to close everything out. Kyrie's been there, done that, closed everything out. And Kyrie was that one guy. So I think if they don't win it this year, they're sending James Harden somewhere and trying to find a little smaller piece. They're probably bringing pieces then.
Yeah, they can
because
get
they're
3 to 4.
because they're on the old side as well.
Hmm.
So if you can bring in pieces and get some younger talent, then the Nets will be able to run. As long as Kevin Durant's there and Kevin Durant's healthy, then they're going to be a good basketball team.
Got it. So with what you just said about Brooklyn, with what we talked about with Milwaukee, where do you rank the Heat with our offseason moves in the Eastern Conference as of today? Because we're still waiting to see what Philly does with Ben Simmons.
Yeah, fourth to fifth,
Oh wow. Okay.
somewhere. Yeah, they're still in that same rate. They're better than New York,
Hmm.
which I'm always going to say that we can be shit, and I'm always going to say we're better than New York. Um, Atlanta, I think, is still better than them.
Then Miami. Well, they gave us hell last year. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, Milwaukee, I think, is better. Nets, I think, are better. I think Philly is right there with them. So I would
Hmm.
put them in the fourth to fifth range.
Okay. I got us sitting at the 3-4 range because, like I said, I'm waiting to see what Philly does. And we play well against Philly. As a matter of fact, the last few years we played well against them. So I got us right there at 3-4. So it's pretty in line with what you got.
Yeah,
Any
Philly doesn't scare me at all.
yeah. I don't know what it is about because they're a consistent team. They're a good team, but like I said,
They're
we've matched up well.
they're consistent. They're just not good in certain areas.
Mm.
And when your point guard isn't good at a lot of stuff, then you're screwed.
Right, right.
I mean, they need to find out a way. Some team needs to find out a way to utilize Ben Simmons as a similar way that they use Giannis. That they
Mm.
figured out how to use Giannis during the finals. Somebody needs to figure out a way to utilize Ben Simmons in that kind of way. Stop trying to use him as a damn point guard
You're right.
and let him find a way to be just a rover to where he can roll around, find a spot, get to a spot, go to the hole, draw. No, don't please God, don't draw a foul, but just go to the hole, develop you a little mid-range shot, and you'll be fine. People forget about the mid-range shot. I'm like Jesus. I'm like, if Phoenix has taught you anything, people, is that you still need guys that can shoot a mid-range shot. Because once
Right.
Phoenix got into that mid-range shooting mode and tried to shoot 3 for 3 with Milwaukee, they got screwed.
Yeah.
They went away from that, and I watched one part in one game where they shot 7 3-pointers in a row. I'm like,
Jesus Christ.
dude, that's not y'all's game.
Hmm.
I was like, game is getting into a little spot and popping it. But it's just that's what Philadelphia's problem is. Philadelphia's problem is once it got in Ben Simmons' head, they were screwed.
Yeah, it was a wrap at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, because Joel Embiid, for how good he is, I still think he's way overrated for how good everybody says he is and how everybody builds him up. I think he's just way overrated because one, I think he's too immature. Still,
Hmm.
he hasn't grown up. He'd rather argue with people and make fun of people that are on his team now. But
Yeah, drama. Yeah.
he'd rather do all that stuff than focus on playing basketball. And that kind of stuff gets on my nerves. So yeah, they never scared me.
Got it. Any last thoughts before we wrap up this week?
Why the hell did we give Duncan Robinson $90 million?
Look, I'll call Pat Riley and I have the answer for you.
We gave we gave we gave a shittier defending Kyle Korver $90 million.
Jesus. Oh man. I knew this would be epic today. I knew it. I was like, Kevin hates Duncan Robinson so
I
much.
will I will. It's not that I hate him. I like that he's a good shooter and everything, but you play zero defense, and then when you try to play defense, You've got 3 fouls called on you in the first 2 minutes of a basketball game. No matter how good of a shooter you are, you can't help if you're not on the court.
Right. Right.
So you know what? Put him on a freaking power forward or a center. Let him play center there, or let him play defense there. Just you have to do too much in trying to hide his defensive liabilities for him to be worth $90 million just for being able to shoot a 3-pointer. I'm sorry, he's not worth that much money. He's just not at
Look,
all whatsoever.
Heat Nation, I need all you guys to give Kevin a hug.
If
It'll be
he's
okay.
if he's worth $90 million, then at the age of 22, I was worth $90 million.
Hey,
If I was his height when I was 22, I would have made well, not then because they wasn't paying $90 million, but
no, maybe
um,
30. You probably got 30.
they wasn't even paying that. MJ was only getting a certain amount when I was 22. But I was like, dude, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
It was like that year when the one guy was the highest, was the Mike Conley was
Yeah,
the
Mike Conley.
highest
Yeah.
basketball player in the league, and I'm like,
Yep.
how?
Yep.
Like, how the hell did Mike Conley just earn the most money in the league?
You got a
That
good
still
agent.
had LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Carmelo and all these guys in it. You're telling me Mike Conley is the highest paid guy?
Yeah, got a
Get
good
that.
agent, man.
But now all these guys make Kirk Cousins money.
Yeah. Yeah. TV
Yeah,
contracts have inflated salaries again. So yeah.
yeah. The shit. I want the one guy's agent I really want over all of sports was Sam Bradford's agent because
Oh,
Sam Bradford made almost $300 million
he didn't even play that long though.
and didn't even. That's what I'm saying. He made almost $300 million and only played like 12 games.
Because he's out the league, isn't
No, he sucked. But he's out of the league and he's
he? Yeah,
still
he's out of
getting
the league.
paid.
Yeah.
He's like Bob
Oh,
Bonilla. He's still getting paid.
Lord Jesus. Well, we're gonna wrap up, folks. So thank you for joining us for the Heat Lifers podcast with your boy CL and Kevin. Kevin, tell them where to see you at.
You can find me on Twitter at Kevin C2415. You can also listen to me and my co-host Cortez Paul on the Balls in Our Court podcast. We are actually back up and running pretty well now. We just did a free agency where I got the bitch about this on there, and and we're about to dive deep into college and pro football here pretty soon. So
There you
with
go.
uh, with preseason games starting up and everything, we're about to dive deep into my real specialty. So if you think I'm good at basketball, you should hear me talk about football. Um, we're about to dive into some my real specialty into some football.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you guys sooner than later.